especially working with Sar de la Motte, I learned in the stage, in the courtroom, if I want the jury to look here, I need to look there. I need to look where I want the jury to look. So if I'm working with an exhibit, if I'm making eye contact with the juror and saying, look over here to my right, it's cognitively confusing. Like I'm making eye contact with you, but I'm telling you not to look at me. So I need to go look where I want them to look. I need to lead it. Well, you're exactly right. On a Zoom, I don't know where my window is going to be when I go, when we go to scare screen and I'm going to be sticking in a window somewhere. I don't know where that window is going to be on the juror screen. So I can't necessarily point. And then there's a whole mirror image thing where I'm pointing maybe the opposite of where I intend to point. So it's very confusing. And so what I had to learn, like, let's say we're going to share a picture, I had to learn, and for example, there's a stop ahead sign before you get to the intersection. And I had to shut up, let the stop ahead sign go up with me, just a little picture, leave it there in silence for a couple seconds, fade out, wait till I get the okay signal or the thumbs up signal that I can start talking again. And and it took a lot of practice because I'm used to directing everything myself while I'm speaking, and now we have to really practice and rehearse, which I think it made my presentation a lot better than it's ever been because I usually do some practice but never this much.
I jokingly said it's like you're a flight attendant and you have to know exactly where you're going to put your hands, where and when, and purposefully.
Yes.
And I have heartedly joked about that phrase, but it was so true because once you started to get in your groove and you knew where you were going to put your hands and when you were going to do it, it was impactful. And it was like what you were doing was on purpose, and it made a big difference because when you it didn't feel as confident, but once you got into it, it felt very confident.
To me, it was almost a new level of mastery. Like, I worked a long time. I've been working for years first with Josh Carton, now with Sar de la Motte, about using my hands. And just kind of it naturally kind of happening, which is good. But this time, we had to purposefully plan and rehearse my hand gestures.
Yeah.
And I think it was even better because like at one point, I had this person here was one person. I'm just leaning here. I was standing and moving when I was doing this was there. So like the operations manager complains to this person, your drivers aren't doing safety training, and nothing happens. So then he goes up to his boss. Hey, they're not doing safety training. Make them do safety training, and nothing happens. That doesn't work. He goes to the other managers. He goes all the way up to the vice president level saying, hey, and you practice where you're pointing, where you're looking, and you create the spaces on the screen that you're looking at so that it really looks like there's one person talking to three other people complaining about the lack of safety at this company. And it took work. I mean, it was fun work. It wasn't like all the other motions we had to respond to and stuff like that. I think part of it, because it was so new, it was just energetic and fun to do. Because you don't want to be thinking about, is the tech going to work or not? You want to be thinking of that connection with the jury.
And I agree with that. I think what happened was as we started getting better and better, getting ready for this, we thought, well, how can we continue to up it? How can we keep doing better? And I think that was one lesson I learned in this was there had to be a stopping point where we didn't do anything else new because we needed plenty of time to rehearse with it. So yes, it went well before because we were using the same equipment. And, from my perspective, when we got the new camera, it was because we needed to do it so we could do a witness and you, and both had good quality. But what we weren't ready for was for the new camera to have a setting we hadn't practiced with. And that's where that technical glitch came in. With the audio, we spent time looking to find the best microphones that made you feel like you had a TED Talk going on and you looked great and the sound quality was good. And we charged the battery the whole time before you went live. But even though the box said it was going to last a certain amount of time, it didn't.
Yep.
So I think we learned you have to make sure you don't change these things too close to trial. And you can't always expect the equipment to work, even if you just bought it. We spent a lot of money on that mic. So, we still have the box. I'm going to return it. There's no reason for us to spend money on something if it says it works a certain amount of time and it doesn't. So
absolutely.
That was a big, that was a big opportunity for us to realize if you're going to do this, use all that equipment before.
And I think that a story is a story is a story. If we have a good story, we can tell it through this medium as well as we can tell it from the courthouse medium. And frankly, as plaintiff lawyers, there's another advantage in that we control what the jurors see. Because a lot of times at the courthouse, they're not listening to the testimony. They heard your client say, I can't go more than 30 minutes before my back starts hurting and then I have to get up. And your client is trying to stay there and be stoic, and they don't want to be getting up and being disrespectful to the client. Well, there's a juror timing them. And they keep going over to look, is he squirming? Is he getting up? Is he doing this? How long has it been? They're not paying attention at all. Or how is your client walking? Or what is your client's facial expression to certain testimony? Well, a Zoom trial, you turn your client's camera off.
Yeah.
Or not have your client there, there a little easier. Or at least you know what they're seeing. They only see the face. They don't see them walking around. They don't see it. Just changes everything because we control what the focus is. It's really, I think, an advantage. I guess the last thing is, the clients need some practice on Zoom. The witnesses need some practice on Zoom, and they need lighting. And you need to think about where they're going to be. We were trying to encourage people to come to the office. And I mean, we have a big enough office we could put people in separate rooms so we wouldn't have social distancing. And I think some defense lawyers and even judges would object to you being in the same room as the client because you could give them signals or write notes. We wouldn't do that, but it could happen. But we had other offices. But I mean, because we wanted to make sure they had good lighting and stuff. Some of our clients lived in Laredo, Texas, which is like a 3-hour drive. And we weren't sure that they were going to be able to do it. So I have a friend who I went to law school with. We had arrangements to use his conference room, and we were going to set up a laptop with a good webcam. He had good internet. We were going to set up, at least our ring light, and make sure there's lighting there, so that they had a place. Because if not, they may be sitting in a house that's not very dark, holding their phone, or walking around somewhere holding their phone, testifying, and it would take a lot away. So I think that's the other thing is that we need the practice for ourselves, but our witnesses need it too.
Absolutely.